This is screencast 2 from week 2, task 1. The question being, what makes one-to-one programs and bring your own devices successful in one school and not successful in others? In the first screencast, I covered the successful why one-to-one programs are successful. In this one, I'm going to continue with the one-to-one programs that aren't successful, and also the bring your own devices, whether they are successful or not successful. So, and what causes that to be successful and not successful. So the first thing I did was I went to one-to-one school programs, failures. I typed that into Google, and then I came up with one-to-one computing. And this basically says that that the program is there were 4 studies, and the primary factors were for success, which of course would translate, if you didn't do it, was not successful. They included adequate planning, stakeholder buy-in, strong school or district leadership. So apparently those things were not in the success of the programs that had failed. And despite the growing interest in schools one-to-one program computing, little research has focused on teaching and learning in these intensive computer environments. A big mistake that both researchers and educators make in talking about one-to-one programs is assuming that adding computers to the classroom, nothing else will change. And where on the success ones, the curriculum was changed to utilize the technology so the technology could enhance the curriculum. Study of 5 laptop programs in 5 public schools and a middle school. Let me see. Found that teaching learning practice changed when students and teachers were given laptops, wireless learning environments, and other edge tech resources. So basically that was the same thing. Impossible to oversee the power of an individual teacher's and the success or failure of one-to-one computing. Now, and the teachers will always control how and when the students access and use technology during the school day. In addition, teachers must have massive investments in time and effort to adapt their teaching materials and practice to make the one-to-one environment and relevant. So if leadership didn't have a buy-in on this, then they wouldn't be able to give them professional development time to be able to adapt the curriculum to fit. So that's very interesting. So, and then the next one I found was why schools must move beyond one-to-one computing. And this is someone's, I guess, personal experience of why it wasn't working. It says, I'm concerned that most one-to-one implementation strategies are based on the new tool as the focus of the program, and with the on the opposite side of that, the successful ones were the ones that were developed basing it on curriculum. Failure is not limited to the superintendent or to me. They call it the $1,000 pencil if you don't adapt it. Shiny new spaceships. So basically, this article is saying that unless you focus on the learning instead of the technology, your system is going to fail, which, as I said, in the other one, it focused more on learning. So, and here it says, ensure that technology is seen not as another initiative, but as an integral to the curriculum. So that is important. It's just saying the opposite of what the successful programs are saying. So then the next one I went to was, this is actually a study, and basically it just incorporated all the data that I had found on in most of my sites that I'd found, websites had some of this data. Here there was one that here they're talking about the here's it. It was talking more along the lines of yeah, here, just that other one. Similarly, other researchers analyzed the impact to one-to-ones on 5 Massachusetts middle schools. Teachers revealed surveys revealed beliefs that student engagement and student motivation have both increased. That's where this study or report is dealing with, is it compiles all those studies that are mentioned in those other websites. So then I went to another website I found another website on my Google search that actually was mentioned in another article, and this was the seeing no progress, some schools drop laptops. And this is basically the same thing. They did not change the curriculum to for the technology enhancement. They didn't have a lot of, they didn't have buy-in. The students used the laptops to search for things that they shouldn't have been searching for, and then they found a way to go in and what did they find? They found that these one-to-one computing programs are now abandoning them as educationally empty. The educationally empty, that's pretty strong language. And there was no evidence. That was the problem with this one, was there was no evidence that all this money spent. I think there was 450. Let me see. It didn't mention it here. There was a lot of money spent, and unfortunately, they didn't see any results in it. And I my thought was it was because of there wasn't a lot of planning, there wasn't any goals. Um, here's a $45 million 3-year program. That's a lot of money to be throwing away and not doing things the correct way, or not having the planning, not having the buy-in, not having the vision, and that's and not centering it on the not centering the program on the learning outcomes. The achievement levels did not rise, and so they felt like they wasted that $45 million, which I would have too. So this part was the failures of the 101. The next part I'm going to be working on is the bring your own device success and failures. Okay, this is the my search for bring your own devices. So what I did was I went to Google and put in bring your own device success for schools. Previously I had done a search called bring your own device success. I came up though with a lot of business and employee related stuff. So I had to tailor my search so it specifically stated schools. Okay, so I actually found quite a few websites that talked about the bring your own devices. So the first one was the one I found was the toolkit. It's a K through 12 blueprint, a plan resource for personalizing and learning. So what I looked at when the graphic is what got me, because it's almost the same as what I was finding in the one-to-one program. Is you got to have planning. Of course, the devices. You got to have the buy-in, the implementation, that the vision at the beginning. All this they're saying is what causes the success. And without it, you're doomed to failure. So what I did was I was looking, and let me see. The potential of mobile device the potential of mobile technology devices to inspire learning and create independent critical thinkers. Okay, that's what they want to do, is to be able to take full advantage of that. However, tight budgets, many schools are hoping to bring technology into the classroom without costly burden of purchasing a device for each student. And that's where they got the bring your own device. Educational application in the at times, shrinking budgets, school districts. Okay. And one thing they were talking about here is the schools or that the bring your own device takes advantage of the technology that students already own. So, and then it said continue reading, so I went ahead and opened that, and this is basically saying the same thing here. The vision of a learning environment that best supports and prepare a student for outside classroom is evolving. Okay, yeah, that was okay. Now that this one says educators recognize the power of technology technology's tools to support 21st century learning and create an environment that focuses on the 4 C's, which are communication, creativity, critical thinking, collaboration. Okay. That can evolve into better prepared workforce. The access advantage, anytime, anywhere device gives bring your own device a significant benefit over traditional technology integration models. Cost effective, as parents provide both devices as well as the repair and maintenance cost. And it goes down here to say that the challenges and stuff is what happens when the parents can't afford it is what I was looking at, because you're not always going to have the students from who have wealthy or even middle class parents anymore can't afford a lot of the luxuries, and people tend to believe computers are a luxury. Yeah, here we go. Parental support, average household income, and the percentage of students who already own a device all play a large role in the success of Bring Your Own Device program. However, it said earlier that the reason why the schools like this is because most of the students who do have computers have computers that are fairly new, considering as opposed to the computer labs having outdated machines. Okay, the other consideration is professional development. So that also means leadership buy-in, extensive training for staff members who are responsible for implementing the program and procedures on a daily basis. Teachers may be more comfortable with traditional technology model, which offers controlled, filter, and exclusive environments for mobile learning. Bring Your Own Device is uncontrolled, offers less filters, they have to have a greater depth of knowledge about technology. Let me see what else. This is just going into they need to make sure that they have the right specifications for the computers and stuff. But then they mentioned about smartphones. Well, the average smartphone is about 5 to 8, so that it's a lot different than. I mean, I can see more on my screen than I can on my computer screen than I can on a smartphone. So, okay, successful Bring Your Own Device programs have strategies in place to help classroom management of different devices and activities. That would be true, again, different devices, because some people could be running Mac and some people could be running the PC. And so that would be difficult to merge so everybody can be on the same page. Again, Mac or Android or iPhone or Android, those also if you were going to use a smartphone. The educational impact here. The use of individual personal devices in Bring Your Own Device program highlights the shift of roles of teachers and students in a technology-rich classroom environment. Again, it's the teacher's role that keeps changing. And the students' role, they tend to take more ownership. And again, it says they're the facilitator. The teachers are the facilitator instead of the lecturer. Viewed within the realistic perspective of both benefits, can be a workable solution for many schools seeking to upgrade their education. It could be. It just requires, as the other one, one-to-one, was a lot of planning. Okay, so the next one was 9 steps for schools to create their own bring your own device policy. So this is basically, so I mean, this makes sense. It's research it, and research what it is, what it looks like, what model of our schools using, consultation and policy development. So it looks like there's a lot that goes into starting the Bring Your Own Device program prior to implementing it. So, and this basically just tells you how to do the policy, how to document your policy. So that's interesting. That it gives you a how-to, which is really great because, why reinvent the wheel? Okay, the next site I found is how to make Bring Your Own Device work for your schools. It's saying it's relatively new in the education arena. Okay, so this one is basically saying what we had thought of, or what I had gone over earlier, was that Bring Your Own Device initiatives are relatively new to education, cropping up under tight budget controls. Again, we had mentioned that in the first one. Supporters of the Bring Your Own supporters of the Bring Your Own Device movement say students are instantly more attentive and better behaved. But educators face a number of challenges in making the Bring Your Own Device work in their schools. Again, what if the students don't bring smartphone, laptop, or tablet computer of their own? How can educators make sure students use their mobile devices only for educational purposes? Let me see. Coalition. Now it's the 4th year. The initiative began with 7 schools of 40 teachers who realized they didn't have answers to questions that bring we would share ideas, but we expected that we would be learning from teachers as they were going to be trying things in the classroom. Okay, here it says the district did not mandate participation. So it looks like when they first started, this was in the second year, they first started, that the district leaders were sitting on the fence. And then last year, 100% of the district school participated. So looks like they're bringing other people on board. So and they're talking a lot about how the discipline problems are disappeared with the use of the technology. Oh, here, this county still maintains 24,000 of its own computer devices. So that's more of where on this one they actually the schools still have the computers. I don't know why that part would have been in bring your own device. Again, security is a problem with the bring your own device. And before, when it mentioned the uncontrolled, the filtered internet access, that would be different. Well, here they're saying they found that the school students connect to a network via a secure access point. They get the same filtered internet access they would at any school. Okay. So basically, they're saying the same thing as the one-to-one program. You got to have the support of leaders. You got to have planning, vision. Now here it addresses the parents' concern about using their devices for entertainment, not for learning, which, if I remember correctly, the New York Times article, that website said that one student figured out how to get around everything and used it for searching for things that they weren't supposed to be searching for, and like looking into the test or finding the test and looking for a porn, stuff like that. It's important to partner with parents and educate them. They have a curriculum night, so here they're getting the addressing how to get the parents to buy in. So that's important. So here they're talking about the policies. On one hand, you have the new, I can see, you have the school's computers, which you know exactly what's on it, and then you have the student's own computer, which you have little or no idea what they've put on it. So, oh, okay, I see what it says. So they don't have to use. We've talked about the county. I was talking earlier about the county having 24,000. They don't have to use the counties. They can register their own device and use it. So permission form. Okay, they have to get the parents involved to authorize permission. Okay. This is going into the more in-depth of the policies. Prior to first communication in the school year, the parent must grant written permission for each staff member. The parent will allow to communicate via text message with his or her child. A parent must agree that she can be copied on all the text messages. Okay. These are more concerns about safety. Be limited to hours of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. unless addressing a matter of immediate concern. So these are basically going over the requirements, and then they go into the vendors who offer software-based solutions and yeah, here the bring your own device programs pose a challenge to school IT staff because districts experience a growth in the number of accounts they manage. So it means, the money is not going to be spent on the budget's not going to be used for buying the laptops or tablets, but there still is going to be expense with bringing on personnel to work these new accounts, especially if they continue or they use the school's internet connection or server for the curriculum. So this is interesting. This really goes into depth about, and they even offer a free guide. ClassLink offers a free guidebook. So that is interesting. If that bring your own device gets implemented in the school. So, and then the next one was the keys to a successful bring your own device program, education and fun. This looks like it's gone to, let me see. For some, it's another way to save money on the bottom line. Though most people know by now that if your intention is to save money, you're barking up the wrong tree. So what they were saying in the previous article was, let's push the payment, the expense off to the parents. However, this is saying no, that's there are those who know that providing users with the right devices can boost productivity. It's not really a stretch to think, as tons of new stories and surveys show that people are spending more time working and are producing more. Some say it's just another security problem. It misappropriated while users are goof off playing Angry Birds. I think that's a lot of what all this is You have to you have to have a plan in place. If you're going to need policy, vision, curriculum. These ones. The Bring Your Own Device seems to be focusing more on the curriculum or the device versus the curriculum. So if anything, one-to-one was focusing more on the curriculum and less on the device. So let's go ahead to the last one. Bring Your Own Technology / device. So that's different. Potential challenges. Acceptable use. This looks like it's just a warehouse of okay, let's see what we've got. Interactive lessons and ideas. Okay, so this looks like it could be interesting, as opposed to what the other like a resource for if you're just starting out or even continuing. Webinars, policies, and reports. So if you didn't even want to write your own policy, you could go out and get those. Celebration, add events. Okay. So this was just a service provided to give you more information on how to be successful with your Bring Your Own Learning. So this part is the success of Bring Your Own Device. The next thing I'll cover is the failures or the unsuccessful Bring Your Own Device. Okay, this is the Bring Your Own Device failure for schools. Again, I had to adjust my search. I would just put Bring Your Own Device failure and came up with a lot of employment related things. But for this, I found a couple of websites on it. The first one was The Promise and Failure of Bring Your Own Device in Education. And this actually looks more like somebody's personal experience. Okay, here they're saying if this doesn't happen, that the school is responsible for an actual network design. Should look for apps to explain everything in perspective for presentation. So this looks like it's the basics, of what a day would look like if once you started it. The technology, okay, if the technology isn't seamless, then you have issues, which I think that's teachers will understand. Okay. Okay, he's saying here that basically it needs to be structured differently. The least carryable device that can be used to its full is better than a mixed environment that will create confusion. So he is not a candidate, and it looks like it is because well, here we expect teacher A to understand iOS, Android, Fire operating, and Windows 8. Oh, this is from an IT expert. So, yeah, and as a saying, there's a menagerie of stuff that is out there. So that's what he's determining, or he's saying is the failure of it from an IT standpoint is what you've got to be familiar with each operating system. So yeah, very, very interesting. As opposed to when the school owns the property or the technology, the school, of course, would have the same operating system on each of their computers. Okay, the next one is 5 reasons why bring your own device is a bad idea without breaking the scope. But inherent inconsistencies make this prone to many issues. It's one way to get right. It does get technology into the hands of students. Again, it sounds like these are more IT folks. The equipment and equity. If everyone is bringing their own equipment, even if there is a standard approach to the type equipment, it's all that the brand and the configuration of each device will vary when it comes. And I don't, as people who don't go into or have a lot of knowledge about each operating system, that's exactly what the other one was, the other article is saying. Tech support, varying type of equipment, dissimilar configurations, software levels, come a wide variety of technical issues. Losing downtime for tech support and troubleshooting. Bring your own distraction again, because the school doesn't know what's on the computer. The student could be out there playing games. So it's basically saying they're not in control. This necessary fact of tech life. Much harder for technology department to ensure compliance and constant. And that of course is true too. I mean, you're always having to update your security software. So mine is better than yours syndrome. Isn't school life challenge enough? Oh, yeah. The less fortunate kids shouldn't have to deal with that. Kind of have the most expensive. Yeah, this is more on an IT point of view. Let's see what the next one. That's 2 of them where the IT folks are not behind this. With school, your own device continues to find its way into more conversations. There are more research stuff. bring your own device, such as following article or tip sheet. Fascinating. It still continues to expand as they lack the necessary budgets. So I mean, from what I'm getting on all of these, that they still are focusing more. Okay, let's lack of standards impact learning. And most students allow a wide selection of devices. Students are unable to complete an online homework assignment because their device cannot use the publisher's site. The complaint calls for, again, this is all external to the learning outcomes. If you're battling this, well, hearing someone, he's suggesting pay for your own device. The school system negotiates purchases, leases the technology, so families benefit from that. Okay, that could resolve a lot of the issues with, but again, everything, the last, whether it's a success or a failure site, has been talking about the technology. It has not been talking about the curriculum as the one-to-one is. This one looks like it's a blog. It is a blog. My failure with bring your own device. I started many years. I thought I learned a lot. I had 10 iPods, 3 Macs, 3 desktops, and access to 3 Able laptops for the half day. Also a nice personal class of 20. I decided to operate a bring your own device classroom. Free and open technology. In spite of these assets, it was a reluctance and regret. I found myself banning the use of all digital technology. Okay. The problem is I'm not quite certain why I failed. I couldn't get the students to buy in. Well, that's a different concept, because we're all, the rest of it's talking about leadership buying in, or parents or teachers buying in. But this one actually goes back to the very reason why you're having this technology is the students. The problem, I'm not quite certain why I failed. I couldn't get the students to buy in. Very few of them use technology to aid their learning. Their primary uses were listening to music, playing flash game, and texting for social reasons. Using it for academic purposes was a distant fourth. I couldn't get them to a point where they could resist the temptation of distraction and focus on their learning and tasks and goals. Well, here he is mentioning, he's trying to keep them focused on it, but let me see. He still thinks the bring your own device classrooms can work once equity can be guaranteed. I'm thinking that in itself is the main problem why bring your own device is not failing. The individual from the previous article, he mentioned, pay for your own device. The only thing would it be a rental thing? Well, I still believe the proper planning following the one planning guide offered by. So he's more in favor on the one-to-one than he is the bring your own device. So going through those websites, I find that the majority of the problem with the bring your own device isn't developing curriculum, it comes down to the bare essentials, the technology, students' involvement, which is, you didn't seem to hear that with the one-to-one program. So, and again, one of the authors of the article was much more in favor of the one-to-one program instead of the bring your own device. So that ends my 45 minutes worth of one-to-one failures, bring your own device successes, and bring your own devices failures. It seems like the bring your own device, it does sound like it's a more challenging portion of the way to go.